In this episode, we are going to learn the basics of the Guild 2 Renaissance. Welcome to the Guild 2 Renaissance tutorial series. I am going to link the playlist in the description below, and you will get a new episode every Friday for this game. Now without further ado, let's go into learning the basics of the game. Okay, then we start a new game. Okay, I like starting on this map over here actually. Where is it? No, that's not it. What's that called? There it is. This one I like starting on, but that's just because it has nice open land, bunch of a city that I can put my storefront right on the my first business right on the marketplace. Makes it a lot easier. But in this tutorial we are going to the Hansa. Okay, so you could select your city if you want, or select somewhere else to do random. I like random play. I don't like to control every single aspect. Over here is less ambience. I always disable that because it's not an optimized game, but the ambience is nice to have. Because yeah, you don't, like, you could decide if you want to experience the world with less ambience, which reduces the demand on your computer. However, my computer is good. Both, like, all my computers are good. I got 6. But yeah, I just will I never notice a slowdown, except for, I guess, a laptop I have that's 10 years old, but that's not from the ambience. Ambience, not ambulance. I just tell it to, like, I set the options to low graphical level. My game and my computer and my home computer has very high not difficulty, graphic settings level. My random events, that's where I do disable no random events, because that is annoying. It tells you you lost this amount of money, you gained that amount of money. There's no gameplay and random events that happens, that, like, there's an earthquake or something. There's this one that says the wrath of God destroyed your crops, but it just words. It doesn't actually show it happen. But yeah, and then I always select 1 year per round and make the office seats sessions every 4 years, so it's like real life, and the game lasts a lot longer doing that. Always do dynasty mode. That's just what I do. I honestly don't know the difference between that and extinction, but because both of them you lose when you die out, when your dynasty dies out. But I never tried extinction, so I could be wrong on that. And the mission right here, that is, if you have a mission, then you could say whatever your mission is, and that's another good way to kind of limit your gameplay, to do how you want. But dynasty mode is the best, I think, and I always do the max. That's why with this one right here, I could choose 16 dynasties. I love doing that. But with the Hansa, you're only limited to 12. And this difficulty is easy, medium, hard. Easy, I think you get. I never did easy, but I think you get 10,000 gold. Medium, you get. What is it? I don't remember, but I think maybe 4,000. Yeah, 4,000 on medium, and hard you get. That's what I like playing on because I'm more experienced. You get about 2,500 gold. That's enough to buy one business. I don't like starting with everything. I like starting with nothing and working my way up. That's just my gameplay, but you could play however you want. The only issue with the difficulty setting is basically the amount of startup money. It doesn't make the game any easier or harder going either way. At least I haven't noticed it. Because I used to play it on medium and I said, you know what, I'll try it on hard. Yeah, it made no difference except the startup to me. And then you start the game. And then you go to... okay, done. You do your name. Well, obviously my name is Brad Griner. That's who I usually am, but for this one it'll be Brad Tutorial. And then sex is male or female. I like choosing male. Patriot or yeah, I like choosing male. For the gender, the religion is Catholic or Protestant. I honestly don't care either way which one I choose. However, the Protestant is generally more of a religion like game. More cities convert, towns or cities convert to Protestant, and it just more. It's easier because if you do Protestant, people may look at you differently if you're a different religion, or when you're a scholar, not as many people go to your church. Basically, that's the difference. But there's ways to convert, whereas each one has their own disadvantages and advantages. Protestant has a little more converting options. And then you could actually marry another scholar and have two opposite churches, so you got the market on everything. So your classes is Patreon, which are Patreon, not Patreon. That's if you want to donate, you could go follow my Patreon link. It's Patron, and then that's like kind of a food. You're in the food industry. You got a bakery and stuff like that. Tavern, bakery, fishery, farm, orchard. Basically, whatever you need to be in the food industry. When you're a patron, I recommend honestly starting with a tavern, and then when you get enough for the next building, go with a farm, and then your farm supplies your tavern with whatever you need. And then there's craftsman here. That one is my favorite. You get rich very early on if you do it right. It's basically a craftsman or a craftsman or a tradesman. The game calls it either or. Carpentry shop. You have a carpentry shop, a foundry, a weavery mill, a brickery, woodcutter's hut, and mine, basically with that. And it's those, like the woodcutter shop and mine, are expensive. The woodcutter shop's 12,000, mine's 20,000, so it is expensive, but it's worth it. You make a lot of money doing a craftsman. A scholar is basically a priest, pretty much, or a doctor, or stuff like that. Like you have your tinkery thing, whatever that is. It's like a mage. I never did that. The only things I did with the scholar is the hospital and the church. But the difference is you can have that and a cemetery and a bank. I never did bank because that's more of a late game thing, because you have to put a lot of money up front to make a profit on it. Then the rogue is the pretty much criminal. It has like robbers' den, smugglers' hut, pub, mercenary quarters, pirate haven, or vagabond camp. I can't speak today, but those are the ones that the rogue has, and I never dabbled too much with the rogue yet. I might later on, but I'm not sure. Okay, then why did I change my name to Joseph? I can't do that. Be ready. Brad tutorial. I just noticed that. Then on any of these skills, you can right click and see what they do. And same with this stuff, like this Aquarius is bargaining. I did that last time, but I like Capricorn because craftsmen are anyone pretty much except scholars, and rogues use a lot of handicraft. It's like building your items and how fast your business is operating, your productivity pretty much. So Capricorn lets you have one extra skill, and you get well, I guess it's a talent. You get one extra talent for whatever you do. So you could, whatever you get, you still have your 10 points that you could have. So 10 is the max, but whatever your zodiac sign is gives you 11 points. It's a way to kind of cheat the system, but you could also put it in Constitution, which is a good one. I think that varies, and that will make sure your Constitution could get up to 11, which is you're going to live past 100 then. You get more experience points by doing almost anything in the game. Like for example, you could get some XP by marrying someone or serving guests at the tavern, just whichever you want to do. If you get enough XP to max out all talents, like I said, you have if you have a lot of Constitution, you have a lot of time to max out your talents. But also, the more skills or talents you get, the higher your chance of when you get a kid. It takes you and your spouse's skills and it averages them out, so then they could start with a lot more talents. So when they're older, like 16, when they are old enough to do whatever, to be part of your group, then then that way they have it so they can start with a good amount of experience, and it's easier for them to max out their skills. But then you yeah, and again, focus as much as you can on Constitution. Also, you know, there is plus and minus and these cross out things on here. The plus means that you could get a talent for cheaper than what it normally is. Like if I go to ones, these are 100, and this, well, I'll go down to this plus is 75. I'll put it back. And then, well, this plus 2 is 75 for empathy. Empathy. I can't talk again. And so the plus is 75, the minus is 150 for the base point. It gets more as the game goes on. The cross out is just the average, so 100. So if you're Patreon, it sucks that your handicraft is on the cross up, but it's a good thing it's not on negative. So that's a good thing about that. Okay, so let's start this game. Well, let's start up to here. I like doing
this plague of rats has me at my wit's end.
I like doing the left voice. I don't know. That's the only thing that doesn't default over. Where's my eye color? Can't change that, I guess. But then you start the game. Just give it a minute to start. Right away, once it starts, I'll show you. I press the space button. That way it makes it a little easier at the startup, so like you get stuff done as soon as possible once it loads. It is a good computer, it just the game is sluggish. There we go. It takes a minute. There we go. Now it says pause, but it's actually super slow motion. See if I click.
Providing for body and soul can be a heavy responsibility.
See it. He should be going. Yeah, there he goes. He's going, but if I speed up, he's normal, and then slow. And I like to truly pause the game, what you do is you press escape. That'll pause the game completely. And I also like to, like any RTS games or any games in general that has multiple units you control, you press control whatever number. For this game it's 1 through 8, so I do control 1. For my main character, I click on my house, my hut, and control 2 for that. And then that way it's or not 2. I usually do control 4. I was thinking something else. But so now if I press 1, I get my character. 4, I go back to my house or hut or whatever. And then, yeah, I like doing 1, 2, and 3 with my main characters, because see up here you get up to 3 characters you control, and 4 through 8 with all my building locations, because you're gonna have more than just the 5 buildings or whatever, or 4 buildings. No, but that's 5 buildings. It comes like within those keys. So like you have a bunch around the market, you'll have 4 buildings, or you'll name that number 5 because that's a wave from here. And this is 4. You might have a business around here that will associate with that, or even have a building out here like a farm or whatever. You might have a farm, and you might name that hockey 6. Um, Also, if you hold the right you hold the right click on you hold right click on the ground, you move faster. Like, it's a way to get places real fast. You go super fast. There's also, if you use the arrows and you scroll all the way to the side, it'll go a little faster than just the arrows do, which is a tiny bit, but it's whatever you choose, but this is faster. I like doing it this way. That's just me though. And then yeah, so the user interface, and then we talk about that. Uh, the top left, let's click all you. Top left is your family crest and your name, like the tutorial family. I pressed 1 and I got the picture of myself, commoner Brad tutorial. I'm always wants to say Griner because that's my name, but tutorial and the crest there. You got your money in the center here. Oh, before I forget, this is what title you are, like Patreon Craftman or Patron Craftman, Scholar, Rogue. And then your money here. See, it was hard, so I was on hard, so I started at 2,500 points, or gold. So then you got the right with your season, which right now it's spring. Your year is 1400. Your time, and then you have the 3 characters you could add and remove them here. And then your yeah, and also with the time, it's 1 minute is every hour in the game, so 24 minutes is 1 day, or 1 year, I guess, because it's 1 day, but then this, because I was set up for 1 year, 1 day equals 1 year. If I had it for 4 years, then 1 day would equal 4 years. But each season rotates, which it's only a cosmetic thing. It doesn't affect any movement or anything as far as I could tell. Yeah, and then your buildings, you can have as many buildings as your title allows. And yeah, so here's the your town hall, which that's very handy. I double click on it, I'll go right to town hall. You got all the markets in your city. This has 4 cities, so 4 markets. Some might only have 1 city, so 1 market, and some 2, and the one I play on is 3. But I might start playing on this one. It looks like a good map, so I'm not sure. But then you have your counting houses, which, see, I double click. It's kind of like a trade store type place, and they obviously don't have no stock in for some reason. But yeah, and then your house, and these, after this, it's all your buildings. And you could organize them, like sort by doing business buildings, which is the city hall and our town hall, and your hut or whatever buildings you own. The public building. Let's see. The public building should. There we go. Should be the market and the that, I don't know. May a house is considered public. This is not business. And then your residence is the markets, and I don't know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense on how it's organizing them. There, and then your house. I don't know. It's being weird for that, but I never go and organize. I just have my hotkeys to go everywhere I need, and I never had a problem as long as I build near the rest of my places. But then there's what is it? Building. The bottom left. Yeah, that's you could right click to remove any messages here right away, or you can left click to read them. That just told me I was playing in Dynasty mode. So you click here, that's your filters. I always disable competitors and tips and tricks. That's just how I play. The big hammer here is your buildings. It starts on whatever profession you are, and basically you could scroll there. Right now I'm a Patreon, so that's what starts it, but I can't build one of these like a craftsman hut. I can only build a Patreon, like the our craftsman foundry. I mean, could only build a patron stuff, which like I said before, I like doing the public house, which goes to tavern and inn. But then you got the miscellaneous tabs. These are the guard towers. So if you're outside of town and you had a farm over here, then you might put a guard tower there to protect your business. Got a storehouse too for extra storage. I don't ever use that, but I could see where it would be handy. It just your house can hold a lot of storage if you need it to anyways. Then you go through these houses and you get whatever your title allows. So that's the basics of that. It just, yeah, whatever your title allows you to do. And then I'll go through all the buildings in a future tutorial in this series. I'm going to go through different like Patreon, Scholar, Craftsman, Rogue. I'm going to go through all of them and in detail on how to do them to the best of my knowledge, because there's a few that I haven't played 100% of the time. I might play it just so I can get good at it. And then the little computer here is the options. Like most people know how these work. You set your options, like see this is very high and all that. Everything's turned on. My game, I always turn the music off. I hate music in games unless it's a radio station with actual music. I hate MIDI files or anything like that. Yeah, and then go here. Okay, okay, the important units is here. This has all your important units, like the best candidates for Brad for recording is this. You can right click to see who it is and what their class is. I recommend doing a different when you're find your first person in a different class than you have. So like this one is rogue, you could do that, or this one's a scholar, you could do that, and our scholar, our craftsman. So you got a choice with this particular game to have either or, but the problem is sometimes you don't. You have like just scholars. It has happened in the past, or just Patreons, and you don't want a Patreon unless you like it goes by age. So like this one's 28 is your youngest. That's actually quite old. The oldest is 54. You don't want to marry a 54-year-old because, especially with low constitution, because they're going to die out right away. Okay. Yeah, this also shows your packs, like your non-aggression packs, who's neutral. It'll show people in the council once you're in politics, and there's a bunch that will show it, just right now it's not. And your enemies. I already have 2 dynasties who hate me in this game. So that's from this town. They're both from this town, so that sucks. So I might have some issues. What is it? Patron. And they're all competitors to me too, so that sucks. Then the building overview just basically shows what your building is. Broad tutorial, your character. You have your employees here usually if you have a business. And like how much it's worth. Like this one obviously isn't worth very much. And then go dynasty, you got your character. Basically I have 0 experience. I'm starting out, but you put your experience and your talents. I like to fill up constitution, like I said, but also handicraft. Bargaining is a mediocre one. You don't have to do that a lot, but I like doing them like that. Okay. Abilities. So you got your abilities here. When you get to level 2, you get an ability that you can put into one of these. Then level 4, 7, and 10. However, I find that you get an ability for level 2 ability at least every 2 levels, except the level that interfere with one of these. So like you won't get an extra one on level 4, but you will on level 6 and 8 that I've noticed. I could be wrong with that, but that's just what I noticed. And I never got level like level 4. I'm not sure if you'll ever gain that one. And gain more with that, you might. But yeah, I think you do. I just don't remember if I have. I got a character that's level 11 right now, so I might have had a level 4. Maybe level 4 allows me level 8 too. There's certain jumps that allows you to get more of your ability. And what I recommend for the first one is this mentor. The mentor ability allows 10% efficiency for your employees, which that allows you're allowed up to level 4 with your employees. So maxing them out is beneficial because they'll work faster and harder and produce more goods faster. They'll just work better for you, rather than level 1s that kind of are sluggish and don't do much for you. And then your family tree is basically your dynasty. Like I guess he was born in 1381, but it'll show who's your wife here and when you got married, and it'll show all your kids, and then branch out to those kids and those kids. But I haven't played enough to get a real big family tree because again, I put all my stuff in Constitution, and I also have a lot of my skills in or a lot of my or I got my year for every turn is a year instead of 4 years. If it was 4 years, then my kids will grow up faster. Like I have to wait 16 years before my kids could have a kid, and even then they're up here on this. So when they have kids, I have to get a spouse for them and so on. It's something that will come in time. It just for you, it just right now. Like I play for my character's 62 years old, I believe. Started at 19, and in my other game. I actually just deleted that other game because I want to start completely from scratch and delete all my saved games and stuff. I did that, so that's fine too. But then, hence I should click here, otherwise it remembers there and I'll get confused. Then there's the politics. Shows the city council on your city. Right now this is a town, I believe, yeah, that's town hall. I think it changes to city hall and then the palace or whatever. If I go here to, I'll just close that. Go to, where's the big one? London. Okay, and then find their city hall right here, looks like. No, that's the guild hall right here. Still a town hall, I'm not sure. Not sure if that really changes. Because I've seen in a game where that city hall is actually a town. Or that town hall is actually a city hall, and something like a palace, maybe that depends. I'm not sure. I would have to look when I go into a different game. Lucky. Yeah, see, this one's the Council Palace. So that's the big one in this town, which this is the biggest town it looks like. That's right here. See, that has city mayor and that has up to sovereign. If that enhances, that'll be up to king. And then these are that's a village, and that's just a mayor. So I got town, that's a village. This is the big city, and this is a normal city. But yeah, so it's yeah, you got your council members and your mayor, all that. You could run for office, but you need the $2,000 title. And I'll go over titles in a few minutes. It looks like it doesn't say what you need. Requires citizen for that title. This one requires citizen without post civil rights, so that's what you need with that title. I'll go back to my house. And then, let's see. Then there's the diary. So this is like all your events that happened to you. Right now it's empty because nothing happened yet. So if on the left, if you have something pop up here that's important, like your spouse falls in love with you, but you accidentally right click it, you could come here and view it. If you didn't read it, or if your kid graduates from school or whatever. Then your date book, this has like council meetings and stuff. It tells you how much longer until next council meeting. That's why I like the 4-year thing, because every council meeting, having a council meeting every year when you're in politics, it's kind of annoying a little bit. Because especially late game where you're trying to manage all your businesses and it's saying inventory full or production has stopped because you need some products for this business from your mine or whatever, or your farm, and that takes away from that because you want to stick around the council meeting, otherwise it falls apart and you get voted out real easily. Then the book of evidence is if you follow someone around and you find evidence on them, or you see them commit a crime, or say the mayor hates you, or someone in the council hates you and you want to follow them to get evidence on their criminal activity, and then you blackmail them, and then they pretend to be friends with you. But this game kind of has it where even though you know that you blackmailed to become friends, they think that they're friends with you, because this game's not programmed to be like, well, you blackmailed me, so you're not, so I'm your friend, but you're not really my friend type thing. I'm just pretend to be your friend. It doesn't know that. Then your mission book, like right now, is Dynasty mode, because that's what I have, is the Dynasty mode. And enabled, if you had that get rich thing I showed you at the beginning, it'll show that as your main mission in life. So then you got your wealth, which is basically what you make. You got graphs, like we're at the end of everything because we're just starting out. And then there's the map. It's kind of useless, I'm thinking, but see, you double click, you got your areas, but besides that, like, you have to hover over stuff to find it. It's cool that it has all these icons and you could double click, but I never use the map. So then you got okay, so when you're starting a game, what I recommend doing is finding the what's it called? That's not it, but the post, or what is that called? I'll know in a sec once I find it. It's usually around City Hall or the market. There it is. Right here, the notice board. That's what it is. If you click on here, you'll see there's no notices. But what I do right away, I'll speed.
If that's all it is.
Whoops. I'll speed the game up until I get here. Oh, why is it slow? Must have accidentally hit the minus. So once I come, where am I? There I go. So you should be here shortly. This is what I do at the beginning of every game. Now I have him there. I check my mostly my important units. Usually go to enemies, which I have, but those are in the same town, so it kind of sucks. If they're outside town, it will be better. If I go here, find someone who's out of town, see he's in there, and then then I go to put up a pamphlet. See, you can't just click there, you have to click here. These green guys are out of town, so I put
Let's
up
go!
the pamphlet. And then I'll every day, I think it's, yeah, one full day, I'll put another one up. Because now if I
And now what?
go here and go on, so touching. If I go here, I could view the node sport, and this is the little thing I wrote about that person. And the reason I do that outside of town is they will never tear it down. If you notice, when you come one day that yours is up there, tear it down right away. But because you'll be hated around town. But because here, I don't care. I want to fill that up with the 4 slots as soon as possible. But if I would have told one of my enemies that there, like if I would have put them up there, eventually it would be torn down, and if I'm not watching carefully, I might get one up there, and then I'm wondering why people are hating me, and that's why. That's just a pro tip that I have with that. And then another thing I recommend is to buy a title right away. So I go here to the town hall, I buy the title, purchase the
So,
title.
let's get down to business. You'll not become emperor here, but I could try to get you a certificate bearing a better title than what you have now. It only costs a few coins. Perhaps not completely legal, but very cheap. What do you think?
You say, but of course.
Very well. I shall see what can be done, and will inform you when the time has come.
I'll slow the game down again. You could alternately take your character and right click on the town hall, and he'll walk there, and you could purchase it like that. That's pretty fun to do because it's more realistic, but for tutorial sake I was doing that, because when you do that, it basically he talks to a person, and you say, but of course there it's kind of more immersive. I like immersiveness in games, that's why I like modding the heck out my Skyrim. And the other thing I recommend is to start a courtship with someone. I'm not going to do that in this tutorial, but there, like I said, I recommend doing a different class than you already have, and do it as soon as possible, because then you could add another character up here. And say you add a craftsman, because I'm patron, I add a craftsman, and then that allows me to build a armory, or foundry, and then the foundry allows me to build weapons, and I could equip my my people with the weapons. I'll show you that in a later tutorial. And then you can make stuff like the tailor shop, where you could make the noble clothes, so that way you can before a council meeting wear that, and people tend to like you more, and then it's easier to win votes. Try to, if you're doing politics, try not to piss anyone off. Try to be everyone's friend. unless you want to completely destroy someone, and that's possible too. Sometimes, like, I like to just wipe out all the dynasties in my town, which then I'm the big kingpin of the town, and no one competes with me. And the one time I did this, and my politics thing was, I just had I had it like this, but they're all empty except for one over here. So then when that happens, you get no one could vote on if you're in or not. So if right now there's 4 candidates, that's the most they could have. But for here, someone would get chosen by these 3 who are voting. The mayor and whoever is above them votes on if they get in or not. So but because everything was empty, actually even this one was empty, I believe. Just had candidates running, and so I had myself run here and my wife over here, and then my wife got in by default, and I failed because it randomly chooses. That's how it works if no one's available to vote. But then once I did that, I put my wife up here, and she had all the power on who gets in. So then I was able to put myself in office because she voted, and I applied for mayor. So I was the mayor for like years before I got voted out, because once these fill out, then it's easier to get voted out. So that's why it's good to get people to like you. Once in a while, because you have the tailor shop, if you're a craftsman, you run around around the market with your jacket on, and around wherever there's busy stuff. You go to church, or do whatever with your jacket on, and then you're going to be able to basically be liked around town. Everyone's going to like you eventually. You have to keep up, or your degrades over time, but yeah. So then let's start by building our first place. Because I'm a patron, see, if I go here to Foundry, it will say like I can click it. If I go patron and do like for example, the farm, I can't put in the inside the city, so I have to go outside of the city. Where is a good spot? I'm not used to this map, so I'm not 100% sure. There we go. Oh no. No. Good question. There is no place for a farm to go. Let's see if there's another way out of town. Yeah, right over here. That guy has it. Oh, this is taken. I never use this. Oh, there. So I could build a farm right here. And you could rotate your building by holding control. Right now I'm holding the left control, but the right control works too. Or I was holding the right control, but the left control works too. So you could adjust, but I don't recommend building this close to a road, because these guys get confused who are passing. Like I would build over here, for example. Because the AI is not very good with their mapping on anything. So then go back here to the public house. So yeah, see, they're all red everywhere. I can't, this means I can't build anywhere except for the green. See, I could build along here, but I recommend building right here, because the reason is, well, I'll show you after, when I do build it. Because I'm going to be building right away. It just right now, what the heck, I'll build. It doesn't look like it should go there because of the fences and stuff, but I'll build it and see it goes, and everything disappeared. So it's building. I'll speed it up. I'll actually slow it down. I always press that for some reason. I'll slow it down to super slow motion. So while that's actually being built, I will go to the town points. So if I hit C, or go to go to Dynasty, I believe. Yeah, I could go Dynasty or hit C. I got my my talent points. Right now, like I said, I don't have no points because I didn't do nothing. So Constitution is basically your life. It's your health, your how long you live, and how many inventory slots you have. Your dexterity is oh wait, before I go to dexterity, this candle is how much life you have. Like how the taller the candle, the more life expectancy you have left. So right now it's very tall, but it could be taller. I only have 3 in Constitution, but the more Constitution, the higher that gets too. And you also got your armor value and your attack damage. So your armor value is 0 because you're not wearing anything, and your attack damage is 2 because you're just using your fists. But if you get the sword on the other hand, you actually, that raises, and wearing armor raises. So being a craftsman is the best because you could raise all that. But again, it doesn't matter. I choose either patron or craftsman because patron is a steady source of income, and craftsman is a high level of income. However, craftsman allows you to put on armor, make yourself some weapons. There's a lot of advantages for it. So that's why I start with that usually. But patron is good for a steady income to kind of help you fund your craftsman stuff, because sometimes it's slow going with your craftsman until you're popular around town and until you build up your buildings. And then yeah, dexterity is it affects your walking speed and how well you dodge in battle or do criminal activity like pickpocketing and burglary. Even also dodging in a duel, which you can, if someone is pissed off with you and tells you, I want to duel, or not I want to duel, I want to insult you, and they insult you, and then you get challenged. You could challenge them to duel, or you could back down. If you back down, you're going to lose reputation around town. But if you challenge them, you'll gain reputation for standing up for yourself. But you can die. You could completely die if your dexterity is down. Because you can't dodge. Like right now, my guy can't dodge at all. So my dexterity would be down. But then the martial arts allows you to kill them pretty much, and like either kill the person or wound them real bad. Because once the duel is over, you could die, but you could also live, and so can the other person live or die. But just because none of you die doesn't mean it's not lost. If no one dies, then that happens too. I've had a duel where no one died, and I've had one where I died, and one where where the person died that I was against. So then you got charisma, which is basically a useless skill. It's mainly for courting, but you only need that once in your life unless your wife happens to die young. Like I said with the dueling, or she gets a disease that you don't treat, or any number of ways to die. Then you could court someone again, but yeah, it's basically a useless skill. I think it's a waste of points. Myself, I wouldn't put anything on it. Martial arts is your attacks, basically like your attacks in battle and on duel. That's why I said you have high martial arts, high dexterity, you might kill your dueling partner. But it's a good fighting skill. Then handicraft is a real good skill. It's the one I recommend the most. Besides Constitution. Constitution is obviously the best because you get longer life and more hit points. But with the handicraft, your productivity in your business is increased. It's good for everyone except for Scholar and Rogue, because Rogue doesn't have any products they produce, and Scholar, it's decent with Scholar, so you could still make use of it, but they mostly use the arcane knowledge, which I'll go over in a bit. Then your stealth, it's like your criminal activity pretty much. It's a rogue only skill. The higher your stealth, the more you'll get away with crimes, because no one will see you. It's a good skill if you're a rogue. Rhetoric's a real good skill to get into politics with. It helps with bribery. You could insult people or threaten them or do whatever like that. It's real good with politics. And empathy is the counter to rhetoric. It allows you to basically see through everything you can do with rhetoric, and you could also see through stealth stuff, like you can notice more crimes and stuff like that. If someone has a high stealth but you also have a high empathy, you can still catch them. Bargaining's a good one for what's that? I'll check that in a second, show you. Bargaining is another real good skill. Is the ability to sell at a higher price and cheaper loans. However, I never ever got a loan on this game. It's such an easy game. Once you know the basics, you don't need loans. But then there's the arcane knowledge, which is basic Scholar's version of handicraft. It's good to it's a good skill to have for anyone who's mostly like doing church stuff, and who's a scholar basically, mostly a scholar, because if you have a use, it also allows you to wear stuff longer, like your noble clothes longer, because that way you can it's good for anyone that way, because if you wear your clothes longer, you'll be able to impress more people for a longer period of time. Just have them run around the city or whatever, do whatever, and they'll have more chance of they'll wear their clothes longer, basically. And then but the scholar builds stuff with it. It's like the handicraft for scholars. But yeah, so see, I got 600 points for some reason. All because I got
Congratulations! The council, whose wisdom knows no bounds, has decided to award you a new title.
So before I was a commoner, now I'm a yeoman or yeoman, whatever that is. Yeoman, so my privileges, I could now have a house, so I could upgrade my hut to a house. And I can't enter politics yet. That's the $2,000 one, where you could enter the politics. And I'm allowed 2 businesses. I have one right now, which is my business being built. Now I'll speed the game up because it's still being built. I wonder how much. Oh, it just beginning. But yeah, so that should be everything for now. In my next one, I'll continue this save game with the I'll continue my save game, so I'll start with the Patreon tutorial. So that will be next Friday, as long as the schedule happens. And I can't see why not. Thanks for joining me, and have a good day. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.